If you're a university student, this video is for you. I'm going to be taking a university student's perspective and applying it to this book and exploring what university students can take away and apply to their own lives. Welcome to my book review of Digital Minimalism by Newport. One part that's helped me quite a lot as a university student is two practices from the book. One being holding office hours. So what does that mean? Holding office hours means having specific times within your day where your friends know that they can call you. So for example, that part of the day for me is my commute on the way back from work. Anytime after 5 p.m., my friends know they can call me. And just having that awareness that, oh, Amaya's free right now, I can go and call him. It just helps to have those spontaneous conversations over a phone call specifically. And why not a text message? Text messaging does not satisfy that craving that we have as human beings. We are social creatures. It doesn't actually feel like I'm having a conversation with you. At worst, it provides the illusion that you actually have had a great conversation with someone when you haven't been in person or been able to call them. It's just more fun to be on a phone call than to be texting because you can hear the other person, you can understand what tone they're using, if they're angry or if they're just being sarcastic or any of the above. You can just immediately tell, as opposed to text messaging where I get confused quite a lot as to okay, what are they actually trying to say and what kind of tone are they trying to say it in? One of the things that Cal Newport advocates for is the practice of deleting social media from your phone. Now, whilst I don't necessarily agree with this, because I have quite a lot of friends on social media, what I have changed and what I do think university students can apply from this is more so using social media and your phone as a method of setting up the logistics of what time are we meeting, which cafe are we meeting up at, and using it to achieve and conduct those objectives so then you can actually be away from your phone in the moment and be present with your friends that you actually want to catch up and see what's going on in their lives, how are they doing. That's one of the practices that I personally agree with and I'm applying within my own life as well. Cal argues that you should delete the apps but instead use the website version, which I could do as well. However, I just feel more comfortable just having the app on my phone. Otherwise, I'm going to forget about my friends on social media, which I understand that's kind of his point, that you don't want to keep low value connections. But I do have people on social media that I genuinely do want to meet up with in real life. And Instagram is just, the platform that they use. So instead, I've been using OneSec. It's a software that helps to permanently block out apps. I really don't want to get caught doom scrolling. I've been using it to make sure that I'm using the technology in a way that supports me and my life. Because I still have that intervention, I still have that software like blocking me from losing too much time, but I still have the benefit of having the app on my phone. And that's why, like, I find that this is a better method. For me personally, it also puts forward that you should be in social situations where it's easy to socialize. Now, what do I mean by that? To CrossFit sessions in the gym where you're surrounded by other people, it's just much easier to have a conversation and get to know other people. That another example he put forward was having a board game night with your friends. But he made the distinction board games and not video games specifically. Because with board games, you're physically there. You're seeing what the person's expressions are, you're reacting to their body language. If you're playing Uno, for example, then you can tell the person in front of you has a mean +4 they're about to slam down. And you can feel that in the moment because you're physically there. That's one of the key points that he posits forward, is that because you're in person, because you can read the other person's expressions and understand their body language, and you could just feel it in the moment, this kind of high quality socializing. And when your opponent loses the game and they try to take you out on a +4, you have the biggest, most smug smile across your face, and you can feel the defeat coming from their side of the table. And it's just so much more satisfying than just being on a video game and just playing with them. It's part of the human experience, being in person, playing games with your friends, and it doesn't have to be limited to just a tabletop game either. It could be playing sports with your friends, going to that weekly soccer night, just like those people at the CrossFit session. They will encourage you to keep going, to keep pushing, to get those last reps in. And you just don't have that kind of rich social experience whilst you're playing video games at home with your friends who are online. Another piece that I think university students can really apply to their own lives is being intentional and taking charge of how they consume the news. Now, there are many, many news accounts on the other social media platforms out there, but being able to consume media at a pace that is comfortable with you. For some people, it's reading a newspaper at breakfast. For other people, it's going online and searching for their favorite publication that has just made an article about issue X. And finding the best one for you, how Newport talks about craft and satisfaction. Now, within becoming a digital minimalist, Newport puts the idea forward of craft and the satisfaction that comes from physically making something with your two hands. And to be honest, I have tried to experiment with this idea, but right now my major craft is just vacuuming the house and making sure the garden is clean. One of the processes, concepts, ideas that he puts forward is that not only should you attempt to reduce the technologies and services which are negatively impacting your life, but to also increase and find high quality leisure activities which will help you to live a better life as well. So it's both a subtraction of the negative, but an increase in the positive. So within my week-long experiment so far, I have been successful. I just use this extra time to write on Substack, read books that I love, and reclaim that time back. Once you remove those bad habits which were negatively impacting your life and replacing them with good habits, i.e., stuff that brings you happiness within your weekly schedule. One part that struck me within digital minimalism was Cal Newport posited the idea that you should have a leisure plan and having seasonal leisure plans, which got me thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, you're gonna start planning out the time that you just want to put into your hobbies. At first, it didn't make sense, but as I read into the book further, it slowly did make more and more sense. By having goals for your leisure, structuring your leisure plan or like a goal, I'd say it's similar to running a marathon. You don't just get up and then suddenly decide you're going to run a marathon. You prepare over the weeks, and then slowly, as you're getting closer and closer, you get better and better and better because you've been, practicing at least on like a weekly basis. And then there comes a time where you actually got to go and perform. You go and do the marathon. So this idea of having a leisure plan where more so you're having a plan to be practicing every day or doing something you love every day. The seasonal leisure plan makes a lot of sense if there's celebrations or certain times of the year that you just want to get together with your friends. For example, if you want to show your friends that you've learned the guitar, then, you go and learn that Beatles song. But then he also posited the idea of a weekly leisure plan, which, again, it kind of like irked me. I was like, wait a minute. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, I understand why you would do that. For me, my process. So for me, I can understand why having a weekly leisure plan can work. However, as a university student, you're busy as hell. You are so busy. You have assignments, you have a part-time job to go to, and you have to keep up with household chores, rent, and at times you can't plan. You just don't have time to plan. That's you feel really, really like flat out the entire week. However, if you do have the time to plan, then make sure you fill it up with activities and high quality leisure, which will actually restore you and not trying to, when will not drain you. So, for example, you're gonna go on like a run with your friends on like Wednesday night. That's gonna restore you. It's not going to drain you. Like spending Wednesday night inside doom scrolling Instagram will drain you, of course. I think the main takeaway of this book is that you should use technology with intentionality, and you should make sure that it doesn't slowly take over your life. I know there's a lot of people who are just addicted to Instagram and YouTube Reels and TikToks, but taking a slower approach and understanding, okay, why do I enjoy using these social media platforms? What am I using it for? When am I using it? And really breaking that down will help you to gain control back of your life from these platforms. For university students in 2026, I don't believe the solution is to just completely go off of social media. However, if you wish to do so, you can. I think a more measured approach of having software which blocks off those apps so then you don't get distracted, for example, when you're at work. My dad had a quote. He said you should do everything in moderation. And that's how I believe we should use social media. In moderation, you should use it to get the maximum amount of benefit for you and then close the app. These social media companies are not playing. They will try to harvest your attention and time, and they have made the most addictive features to achieve that goal as well. So always remember that. Anyways, this is a university student's take on digital minimalism by Newport.